Yeah.
Right. Well, the whole like Rich and Chris and Andy connection, and then the Wolf connection, and Gabby. I mean, let me ask you this: they were, someone was telling me it might have been like Uva from Accept, or maybe I can't remember.
Chris, maybe, or
I don't know who told me that Gabby Hoffman used to write their lyrics.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of the old Accept lyrics.
Yes.
Like she wrote the lyrics.
I've heard that before.
She was Deafy. If you look on all those albums, it says Accept and Deafy. She is Deafy.
Wow.
So she wrote stuff starting on the Restless and Wild album.
Okay.
So Restless and Wild, Balls to the Wall, Metal Heart, Russian Roulette. That's pretty much virtually all Gabby.
Wow.
Yeah, because she was a powerhouse, and not only being their manager and bringing this band up, she is a story of legendary proportions herself. And being a woman, I mean, talk about being Sharon Osbourne, manager level strength woman in this business before anyone else. She brought Kiss to Germany. Dokken, was responsible for him getting his first record. I mean, just all kinds of stuff, and took on the challenge of Accept, because she first heard them was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to do anything with band. Have you seen this singer? There's no way. But she's like, finally they wore her down in this company she was with. And she's like, all right, but I'm going to go to this band and tell them you are going to do exactly what I say. And they were like, from like 18 to 20, years old, but without question, and this and that, and I will make you famous. And they're like, okay. And she did, and they did, and she was like, yep, we're going to do these choreographed moves, we're going to do this is the kind of thing. And she had the best command of English, and is also very creative and talented, so she was the lyricist. So yeah, when you're singing Balls to the Wall, or all these other tunes, Princess of the Dawn, it's that's her.
And the lyric is heavy as fuck. I'm not saying that doesn't matter that it's
she's amazing.
Gender has no boundaries. I don't give a shit. But
no, she's amazing.
The fact that she was the manager is she a talented musician on top of all of that?
She's not. No, she is not a musician. Okay. She is not. She is incredibly sharp,
very crafty,
sharp-minded, very smart, very strong, very able to hold her own in a incredibly male-dominated field. Like the stuff she has told me through the years, because remember, she was their manager, working all of the deals, all the tours, even up through not only through the initial part, but through the re-beginning of the band back in 2009, and getting going again, and all the tours they did up until a couple years ago, or about a year ago. Yeah, about 2019, I think, is when she basically said, okay, I'm done. We're going to go ahead and transition over now to Wolf and the other companies, that can also help in the touring companies and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, and it's actually funny now that I think about it. You're talking about the circle. So I'll make this quick, because my connection, I had that connection with Accept, but the Riot connection, well, with the new Riot, with Riot 5,
of course.
I didn't really have that personal connection with them until 2019, okay, on the 70,000 tons of metal cruise. Mm-hmm. So Accept was headlining the 70,000 tons of metal cruise that year, and they called me and said, hey, Ed, do you want to come on this cruise? You can have your own cabin. And I'm like, yes, I do. So I joined them, went on the cruise, and Riot 5 was on the cruise. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. I love them. So that's how I met Mike Flintz, and we became friends on the cruise, because I went up to him and said, hey man, I've been a fan of Riot since 1980. I mean, my first liner note credits ever on an album, my very first liner note thanks is on Fire Down Under.
You're on Fire Down Under?
Yes, on the back of the album itself. And I'm like, I was 15. Okay, I was 15 years old. That's my first liner note. But I'm trying to let you guys go. I'm good talking, but it's like I know it's like I don't want to spider web you into 80 different stories.
Wow. Okay. Move on.
Okay, but yeah, so that was my first. So I've been a fan of Riot since back then, and talking to Mike, is how I became friends with Mike, and our friendship has grown over the past few years, which is how I got to be friends with Todd, which is why I reached out to Todd, which is how we got down, to back to Donnie and to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so technically it was, like I said, that connection is how I got the Riot connection. Because if I hadn't made that connection on 70,000 tons, I would not have known, been able to call Todd and say, hey, do you know anybody, or can you do this?
Wow.
So it's amazing how all this comes together.
I get what you just did.
Yeah.
I see it. It's tangible now.
Yeah. And I actually I'm such a huge fan of Riot 5 because Accept was fairly, especially Wolf and Gabby, fairly private people, from meeting. Well, I actually I went and saw Riot in the venue that was inside the ship. They were playing like the big club kind of thing, videoed it, went straight up to Wolf and Gabby's cabin and said, you need to see this, look at this, and showed them and like, wow, this is amazing. So the next day I brought them out onto the pool deck when Riot was doing their set so they could see. And that was, and Wolf was like, yeah, this is, these guys are absolutely great. Yeah. So it was cool. So then I got to tell Mike that it's like, hey, because he's a fan, of course, of Wolf. And I said, I made sure I pulled them out to watch your set because they don't really go and watch other bands. So, but yeah, it was cool, man. I love how it's all come together to this moment right now because that just shows you how the universe works,
Well, and if you're the things that you fell in love with when you were a young budding, half dumb heavy metal fan, 16, 17, 18 years old. I mean, that's everyone's story. But to be in love with it, like truly in love with it, these things are going to happen. Or they're not. But if you're really like, you're obviously have some sort of, you're a smart cat and but you love heavy metal on top of that. It's probably not helping you be a smart cat, but because headbangers get such a bad reputation until they meet you, my friend.
Oh yeah. Well, it's that's the thing, man. Like I said, it knows no gender, and it also, there are so many headbangers who are leaders of Fortune 500 companies now.
Yeah.
And and in every line of work. That's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're a mechanic. It doesn't matter if you're like a software engineer like myself, or a CEO of a company. Music is what speaks to us, and all day as I'm working, I'm listening to all these bands and new bands that I discover because it's in you. When the music's in you, it's in you.